So in that case, welcome everybody. A different space today. There's a bit of echo in the room. I'll try and speak as slowly as I usually do, so you can understand me. I have brought to this place a block and a blanket. You won't need anything else unless you prefer things for relaxation, perhaps. Now, beginning, we will in a kneeling position, and for that, I will grab a blanket, place it underneath my knees, and I will ask you then to also have a block ready just in case you might like to use it. You can choose to keep your knees touching together. I find that is quite nice for a gentle abdominal massage when we're breathing. But you could also open your knees out if that's more comfortable. You might begin just leaning down into the hands or into the forearms. You could choose to close your eyes and aim to soften a bit into the shoulders. You might then rest the head down, and this is why I asked you to bring a long block. Because at the beginning of the practice, sometimes resting the head to the floor feels a bit challenging. It might be challenging in the sense of how the body responds, or it might just simply be the blood rush into the head. So I've used a block to rest my head upon. You can have it at any height that you enjoy. And if it is available to you and you find it relaxing, let your arms come all the way by your side so the hands are resting near the feet. Letting your shoulders drop forward. And if you prefer your arms extended out in front, that is of course a good opportunity as well. You might, in that case, choose to rest the forearms onto the floor. You might have instantly or intuitively closed your eyes. If that's not yours today, look at the floor underneath you. And begin to move ever so slightly. It could be a little wiggle into the pelvis or the drop off the hip just down to one side a bit more. You might not even want to do the same thing on the other side. So feeling into your body and creating gentle, more subtle movements throughout some of your joints. You might even, although you initially rested the head, lift it lightly, turn the head and explore sensations around your neck. We're taking this time to arrive in a comfortable position that brings a sense of ease to you. We will go along with the topic of Sattva, Sattvic, a state of balance and harmony. While we might be aiming for this state of balance and harmony in our lives, it can only be there with the other states of being as well. The rajasic, rajas, that action state that propels us to do things. And yes, can be overdoing as well. The state of tamas or tamasic existence, where you feel heavy, maybe so heavy that you lack the ability doing things, but therefore have the ability to relax, to just be for a little while. To reach the balanced state of Sattva, you will need all the activity, the relaxation, as well as the harmony that might arise from having those. As you let these words sink in and perhaps reflect on those throughout the practice, as we do and as we are, beginning a slightly deeper breath now, letting it flow more deeply in and out of your nostrils. Perhaps noticing how the abdomen engages towards your thighs, how that might prompt you to direct the breath into the waist and back. And if you feel it's appropriate to lift your breath from the belly into the ribs and to the collarbones, you might feel a similar sensation where the ribs are touching your thighs. As you take one more breath here, deep and slow, then inhale again, and with the exhale, beginning to reach your hands forward. You might choose to remove a block if you are using one from underneath. And take a deep breath as you roll your spine up to land on all fours. You might walk the hands a little bit forward, and you might even sink your hips down. If it feels right, you may lift your feet off the floor, sinking into a subtle back bend, engaging, however, into the hands as you push the floor away. On the elbows now, rounding your spine, and you might tuck the toes under and reach your hips up and back. While my left arm doesn't like that deep extension, maybe both of your arms like the length and the reach forward. A puppy pose. Then sliding your hands back in towards your knees, starting to round your spine up. Hands might touch the floor to lift the knees off the ground. You might then lower your heels to the floor and soften towards a standing forward bend. On the elbows now, rolling up your spine as you come into a standing position. Raise the shoulders as you come up to stand on the breath in. Shrug them down as you breathe out and let your knees soften a bit. And we'll do that again, lifting the shoulders, breathing in, the legs might straighten. And as you shrug them down, softening into the knees. Let's do that again, big breath in and out as you soften into the legs. Now draw the shoulders back as you breathe in, again straighten as you lift. And soften back down as the shoulders roll forward. We'll repeat that twice more. So not only moving the shoulders, but allowing yourself to sink a bit more into the ground. And breathing out. Then allow shoulders to open again, turning the palms of your hands forward and beginning to rock over the feet. Maybe you're lifting the heels, maybe you're lifting the toes, or even the soles of the feet as you rock back to the heels. You might come to land on the feet and raise just one heel and circle right over the toes. See how much extra movement you might be able to get through the foot. Changing direction. Then take that leg out to the side and give it a little bit of a shake. moving from there into the hip. Maybe a little swing of the leg. And then land again on that foot. Start to raise the other heel and begin a circle over your toes. Changing direction. And then a little shake out. A circle of the hip. Have some fun if your balance is challenged. And maybe a lazy swing into the leg. And then landing your foot down. Step a little bit from side to side still and align your feet in a hip distance position. Knees might be slightly out of the lock as you draw your inner heels towards each other. A breath in to lift your arms. Maybe finding Charlie's Angel, small try the hands interlace, the index fingers touching, pointing upward. On your out breath, then bending towards the right. Bend your knees again, swing your arms through, create a big circle with your arms as you come up, inhale. Bending sideways, exhale. And then swing it around, inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, side bend, and again swing it around. This time reach both arms out and up again. Change the interlace of the fingers, index fingers might touch again. Breath out, bending to your left. Bend the knees, swing your arms all the way through in the circle. Out by side bend. Bend the knees, swing it around. One more time as you breathe out, bend into the side. Swing it through and reach your arms up as you breathe in. And releasing your arms back down along the sides of the body. You might choose to step your feet a little bit further apart, still allowing the outer edges of your feet to remain parallel. While you bend knees and your hip, keep the spine long as you lean forward. And then place your hands to the middle of your thighs, fingers pointing inward. I will turn myself sideways so you can see the movement better. While you breathe in, just holding here. On the out, push down into your thighs and deeply around the spine, trying to keep the same bend in the knees and the hips. You may choose to inhale and lengthen the spine, or even lift your tail and your chest. And with the out breath, then deeply rounding again. So repeat that for a few times, leaning deeply down into the thighs for support, but rather than rolling through the spine, moving it all at once today. If it feels good, breathe out of the mouth when you're rounding. In through the nose, back out of the mouth. Go for another 3. Holding your rounded position and slowly curling up to stand. Give the shoulders another lift on the inhale and then shrug down on the exhale as you soften into your stance. Whenever you do this practice, but if you're doing it now, it's very warm. So I would still like for you to come with me for a couple of sun salutations. However, please take them slow. Very mindful today. As you come to stand at the short front edge of the mat, a breath in to raise your arms up. Soften your knees and curl through the spine as you breathe out for your standing forward bend. On the inhale, your hands might come up as you straighten the spine out, half lift. On the exhale, then stepping your right foot down the mat, perhaps lower the knee to the floor, let your hips sink a little bit forward. You might then plant the hands down, step the knee back, and come towards a kneeling plank. Any of you insisting on a full plank, Please don't hold back. The elbows by your sides, a breath out to lower down into the floor. A breath in to lift the head, the chest lightly, drawing the shoulders down. Cobra position. Out breath to surrender back to the mat. And inhale to come up to hands and knees. And you might use your puppy pose here that feels right. Hips reaching out the back, arms along. Or you might choose to raise the knees off the floor and turn that into a downward facing dog. Walking knees or feet forward as you come to your standing forward bend. Taking time on your next outburst to roll up through the spine, hanging down like a ragdoll as you move through the vertebrae. On the inhale, extend your arms back up, perhaps your gaze is lifting. Draw the palms together, soften your knees and begin to roll your spine back down to the forward bend. On the inhale, perhaps a half lift as you lengthen the back. On the outburst now, the left foot steps down the mat. You might like to lower the knee down and lean a little bit forward into the horse rider pose. Same option here, kneeling or pull plank as you bring the leg back. And outburst to lower on or towards the floor, choosing your back bend. Maybe it's an up dog, maybe it's another cobra. Keep elbows in, shoulders down. If you're in an up dog, you might roll over your toes. If you're here with me, you might lower the head first as you breathe out. Then inhale to all fours. Again, toes might tuck under as you breathe out for a puppy, or roll the spine up for a downward facing dog. Taking a deeper breath with knees soft and tail high up and up. Before you walk your knees or your feet forward, coming to stand in a forward fold again. Uncurl your spine in the outwards. Raising the arms, breathing in. And circling your arms out to the side to rest them upon your hips. With your hands resting on the hips, the chest is wide open. You might like to realign your feet. I prefer hip distance stance, the big toes touching is perfectly fine as well. Inner heels might draw back towards each other. And hands are really just on the hips rather than the sides of the waist. So feeling how's the pelvis position. Finding a steady gazing point and shifting weight towards the left as we keep doing. Adjusting energy as you raise in, raising your right knee. And then extending the right leg back, tap the toes down and look out towards the side. So when you start to land on the foot, you've got a hip distance stance. Now bend into your front knee. Feel that the pelvis is actually still in the same position. If it's not widening the stance rather than adjusting the pelvis. And drawing then your feet inwards. Being more firm in your stance. Hands might release. You could bring them to touch at heart center if that's yours. Everyone who needs a bit of a break in the shoulders. Or touch their heart. And an option to reach the arms up. You might keep your palms touching. You might separate the hands. Feel into the shoulders to find out which one is yours. Your feet, they're still squeezing in towards each other. Your gaze might travel upwards. Even if your neck feels sore, you could choose to roll the eyes up there rather than tilting at the neck. A breath in then to push the back heel off the floor. A breath out to draw the hands down to the heart. You might explore now leaning forward with your torso. It would be okay to leave the big toe on the floor. You could also lift the foot off the ground and turn this into a warrior 3. With the back foot lifting, your toes are facing down towards the mat. Finding the length now from the heel to the crown. And an option to fly arms to sides, out, or extending them forward if you want some excess warmth in the body. Can you find that moment of balance? And do you notice all the energy you're investing into it? Then lower your foot back down next to the other. Come to stand, palms forward, inner heels inwards. You might momentarily close your eyes or lower your gaze. Feeling into the one foot that you've been standing on. So very connected to the earth, the ground underneath. And then the other foot that hasn't done much work. As you take a breath in, lifting your arms back up. On a breath out, circle the hands back to rest upon your hips. You're shifting the weight towards the right, the breath in to raise the left knee. Feel the pelvis even here in balance. Then point the leg backwards and take the toes out towards the side before landing on the foot, keeping a diagonal, toes pointing forward. Front knee is bending, hips feel exactly the same as they were before, and your feet are drawing inwards now. Option there to bring the hands to touch at heart center. Both sides coming together. If it feels right, you might also choose to extend the arms. Whether the hands stay touching or they're separate is a choice. Feel into the shoulders. Keep them easy. Gaze might be upwards. And again, consider whether you're tilting the head or just rolling your eyes. Keep your feet drawing inwards to find stability. Virabhadrasana, Vana, Warrior One. Breathing in now to raise the back heel. Breathing out to bring the hands back to the heart. You might begin to lean the body forward, maintaining a straight spine. Some of you might want to lift the back foot in that case, flex it, turn your toes to the floor. Find your variation of a warrior 3. Your hands can remain as they are, but you could also choose to fly them by your side, out to the side, or even reach your arms forward if that's yours. Maintain steadiness in your gaze, that will help with the balance, and length right from the crown to the sole of the foot. Landing your feet next to each other and releasing your arms back by the sides. Try to do as little as you can, but draw the inner heels back toward each other. Feel into both of your feet once more. First, the one you've been standing on. Can you feel that there's still an energy there of doing? Over the time that you stand here, you might choose to breathe more deeply. A sense of balance might arise. Taking deep, full breath in through the nostrils and back out. One more deep breath. You might then choose to turn while I stay the same, facing the long side edge of the mat, the feet coming out a bit wide. Aligning back the outer edges of the feet with each other. Taking a breath in to lift the arms here. And with the elbows, as you circle them out instead of on the hips, so now placing them into the waist, so a bit higher. Starting to draw your shoulder blades and elbows a bit closer, perhaps lifting your heart, again, maybe rolling the gaze up. Take a deep breath in. And then bend your knees rather deeply, and as you breathe out, start to fold forward. Perhaps keep the hands there for a bit longer as you descend to your standing wide-legged forward fold. Keep your shoulders in their sockets, shoulder blades reasonably close, and elbows guiding you backwards. Notice how it might feel to lean the weight forward within your grounded feet. The general nature of a forward fold is that of relaxation response and a rather cooling practice. However, for some, the head low might be challenging. If that is you, feel free to bring it back up into a half lift. Let's release the hands down towards the mat. Take the hands across towards your left leg. Perhaps it's the right hand that touches the leg or even the foot. You might bring the left hand into the side of the waist. And as you take the breath in, starting to roll the left shoulder back as you come towards a twist. You might even lift a little bit away from the leg that you're turning towards, hoping to get more twist into the spine. Keep standing quite solidly on both of your feet. And if the shoulder feels okay with it, perhaps extending your left arm towards the ceiling. Then let your arm and shoulder roll back in. Let the hands come down towards the floor, softening through both of your knees. And now turn your right toes towards the short edge of the mat and the left heel slightly towards the other. Bring the hands over towards the toes pointing forward. Slide your hands up a bit and lengthen your spine in that direction. You might choose to bring the back of the hand against this leg rather than holding on. And take a deep breath to start opening your chest, perhaps even your arm lifting, hand in the side is also an option. With your hand resting against the leg, use those two against each other to lengthen a bit more over to the right side. Is there a micro bend in your front knee? And are you pushing away into the ball of the foot? Keep breathing. If the breath becomes a little bit challenged, perhaps lifting a bit further out of the shape. Breathing in. As you breathe out, roll your arm and shoulder down. Turn your feet back to the long side edge of the mat, but stay with your right leg. And maybe even hold onto it as you draw your nose towards the right knee. See if you can shift the weight slightly to the left as well. So you're feeling like you're standing quite balanced on your two feet. But now instead of a twist, we're bringing length into the backs of the body and the legs. You might lift your chest slightly. Take the opposite, your left hand onto the leg or the foot. As you might bring the right hand into the side of the waist. Taking a breath in to roll your right shoulder back. And again, maybe you're leaning a little bit away from the thigh, lengthening through the arm to come deeper into the twist. While we stand on both feet evenly, perhaps extending the right arm upward. Both legs are long, weight bearing is evenly. Breathing in. And as you breathe out, slowly release that, rolling the hands down to the floor, turning now your left toes towards the short edge, the right heel slightly to the other. Bring the hands across to the left leg, take a hold of the leg and stretch into that direction in the spine. You might change the hand and place the back of the left hand against the leg. And perhaps on your next in-breath, starting to open the shape as you open your chest. Arm lifting is an option, and it can still be on the side of the waist if preferred. In the same here, use the back of your hand to bring length into the left side. As you reach into that direction with the whole spine, you might feel that the lower side of the waist is changing. Gazing points up or down, you might have a little chin tuck there to engage into the neck. Take a note how the breath is changing as we challenge ourselves. On your out breath, roll back down. Bring the hands towards the floor and turn your toes back to the long side of the mat. Staying with your left leg as you breathe out, take your nose towards the knee. While you lean over to the one leg, you're still standing with the same energy on both of them, so that your right foot is used, the right leg is engaged, the pelvis might stay balanced, but you're drawing your nose towards the left leg. You might then release your hands back into the center, even come to your fingertips and lengthen the spine. A last choice for this forward bend is to take a hold of the outside of your legs, or even slide your fingertips under the outer edges of the feet, and draw yourself a bit closer down between the legs. Shoulders lightly lifted into their socket, the neck is nice and long. You might even move the head lightly. Letting gravity help to ease into the neck, and then maybe pulling yourself, if your hands are under the feet, a bit closer. And release the hands back into the center. Soften your knees. Take a half lift, breathing in. And then feel and toe your feet closer together, perhaps even to hip distance. Leave your knees soft, your belly and your thighs, let the body surrender before breathing out and uncurling the spine back into standing. Raise your shoulders, breathing in, shrug them down, breathing out. As you return to mountain 10 times, see if you can resist urges to move and wiggle, rather than using this time to explore how we're standing, how the energy shifts. We've slightly inverted. So maybe you too have a flow of energy that comes down into the feet gradually, might be even a pleasant feeling. Using that energy that connects you now down into the ground, quite heavy tamasic energy. Finding a stable position with that weight as you shift the weight towards the left, raising your right heel and maybe turning the knee outwards. Obviously, I'm after Vrikshasana or in tree shape. So while you could stay like this, you could also bring your foot up below the knee. You might instead bring the foot up to your inner thigh. If you bring there, bring weight between the foot, the leg, and perhaps joining hands like we did in the warrior one, together at heart center. Lifting all the way out of your standing leg. being playful as you might raise your arms. It's okay to bring them up as a crown or as branches. For some, it might be feeling better to keep them at the heart. Lifting out of your standing legs so the trunk grows and extends. And although you might keep it very simple, you could choose to challenge the balance by lifting your gaze. The tree might have all the qualities that are needed. And as you take the breath in, bring your knee forward, landing your foot, release your arms. See if you can keep that calm, that centered stance in the mountain without doing. Shifting your weight lightly to the right as you raise your left heel. Or you could bring your knee and you might be happy with the heel resting on the foot or the ankle. Perhaps you prefer your foot a bit further up, or even bringing it or helping it to upper inner thigh. Depending on the quality of the balance today, take time to establish. Hands might join back at the heart if they haven't. Lifting out of your standing leg to feel active into length. Get grounded solidly to the floor. And if you like a challenge, extending to crown or branches, perhaps with a lift of the gaze. Keep that length through the standing leg and that side of the hip. Finding the steadiness here within the subtle movement that you will always feel when you're in a balance. It is never balanced. Just like the sattvic state needs that activity as well as the heaviness. Slowly releasing your foot, releasing your arms, and once more come to stand in stillness in a heel that's active, drawing towards each other. Eyes might close, or your gaze could lower. Experiencing deep, slow breathing. Inhaling and exhaling through the nostrils. Feeling how, no matter your surroundings, the in-breath has a cooling quality. Air feeling cooler. And when you breathe out, notice the heat that you can let go of with the exhalation. Indulge in that play of cool and warm as a release. And throughout a hot summer's day, you might occasionally come back to just that cooler air bringing into the nostrils and the warmer air leaving the nostrils. While the coolness might feel relaxing, the in-breath is rather of an energizing quality. While with the out-breath you might feel like you're letting go of heat. That is the relaxing quality as you exhale. So even within your breath, you've got everything that you need to create balance. On the breath in, lifting your arms again. Draw the hands down the midline with your knees bent to a forward fold as you're breathing out. Bringing then your knees down and even taking your legs out long in front of you. Now, if you do have a blanket, perhaps use that, even fold it up significantly and lowering your buttocks onto the blanket instead. Taking a bend into the right knee, and you might allow the sole of the foot to touch the inside of the leg. Bringing your fingertips down on either side of the straight leg. Raise that side of your buttocks and pull the leg a bit in. So you're now starting to face the leg. You might choose to bend the knee, but let's all flex the foot on that extended leg. Feel the legs in the spine as you breathe in, and start to lean the belly over your thighs as you might surrender slowly forward. You might lower the head down towards the knee as the name of the posture suggests, Asana, head to knee pose. You might choose to keep a hold of the floor or hold of the leg. If your lower back and spine allow you might even extend that leg. And it's perfectly fine keeping it bent as long as your foot is in flexion. Take a few more out breaths. The in-breath naturally occurring, just taking your awareness to the exhalation and its ability to allow you to surrender a bit more into the form. As you begin to walk your hands back up so you rise to sit, you might extend this leg out fully. You could choose to now turn towards the bent knee, leaving your right hand fingertips behind. You might place the back of the hand against the knee. Now stay quite firmly seated on both sitting bones rather than leaning to the side, stay grounded. And then use the back of this hand on an exhale to twist. Foot on the long leg is still active, assisting with the groundedness of this twist. You might now plant the hand down firmly behind you, even lean towards it. Take a breath in then to lift your left arm, and you might take that over the hips and look into the palm of the hand. On the out breath, then circle that arm across to the other side and follow it as you tap your fingertips to the floor. On the inhale, swing the arm up and optionally float the hips. On the exhale, land again and reach your fingertips across as you touch the floor. You might repeat either version a couple more times. Breathing in to extend, maybe it's lifting, and breathing out to land while you follow the fingers as they tap to the floor on the other side. Last round. You can point the toes in the extended leg and swinging across. Then both hands come behind you, and if, like myself, you've come a little bit off your cushioning, shuffle yourself back on, extending both legs forward. We'll begin now with the leg in the left knee, and you might be able to place the foot against the inside of the leg somewhere. Fingertips are down, we're framing the straight leg, but we're lifting that side of the buttocks again and drawing it a little bit in. So to face this leg, you might like to bend the knee, or all flex the foot, take the breath in. And with the out breath, leaning, walking, or swaying forward. As you might lower here, create that last lift and length through the spine, by keeping your toes actively pointing up, leaning towards the extended leg. Let your breath guide you here. Maintain a sense of ease. And although this is not a very balanced posture, as it's in that sense one-sided, In our practice, we aim to keep things the same, although they might slightly differ. Walking or sliding your hands back in as you rise to sit, extending perhaps the right leg out, left hand fingertips go behind, back of the other hand might come against the knee. As you breathe out, aim for a twist. You might use the back of your hand to guide you. Staying firmly seated on both of your sitting bones, so the twist in the spine arises. You might now plant the hand down firmly behind you or place the fist there. And for this first round, raise the arm, lifting upwards, maybe looking into the palm. And with the elbow, swing that arm all the way across, follow it, and maybe your fingertips that tap into the floor. In the next round, that you choose to lift your hips up, still reach your arm over it. And land softly again as you repeat that same movement, tapping the fingertips down. Explore for another couple of rounds whether you choose to lift or swing or find a variation between. It's a choice. But you might point your foot as you extend, as you breathe in. And then the last time, reaching out to the side. Leaning a little bit into both of your hands now to extend those legs forward. As you've got your legs out long on the mat, you might like to prepare just a little bit the blanket as a cushion, the block by the side of the mat. As you breathe in, sitting upright, and with your elbows starting to roll down, use your hands or don't, depending on how much strength you would like to create for the core muscles. As you come down to lie on the back, thin cushioning is fine. A thicker one, maybe keep that out of the way for now. Bringing your feet down onto the floor with your knees bent, allowing a hip distance stance, your arms along the side of the body, and the block is within reach. Tilting your pelvis body in breath, and squeezing your bottom up as you breathe out. You may not choose to hold here. If you do, draw your tail up towards the knees, getting a deeper extension through the front of the thighs, the hip flexors. If you feel the current heat a lot, I suggest to use a block underneath instead. This block could be halfway up to have a similar height. It might as well be flat down, sliding the block underneath the sacrum, as you might bring your hips to rest for this bridge pose or Sattva. If you feel the rest is wonderful, you find that your back seems okay, you could choose to extend this bridge by lengthening the legs out. There's no obligation to do so, only if it feels right. You might even, instead of extending fully, rest your hands like I'm demonstrating upon the hips, maybe towards the area where you feel the stretch. The hands potentially quite warm, let that warmth seep into the body. Two more full breaths in your chosen bridge. And when you completed your breathing, releasing your arms back down along the sides of the body, palms touching the floor. Bending your knees again as you step your feet down to the ground. If you've been in a floaty bridge or a normal bridge for all of this time, you might bring your fists underneath the buttocks now to support as well. Bringing both knees then over the chest, either with fists or block underneath. And if it doesn't harm you pressure-wise, could you then extend your legs towards the ceiling? Keep things loose and relaxed. The joints of the knee, feel the legs dropping down into the pelvis in a comforting way. Feel the ankles, the toe joints soft. And you might even, if your block feels supportive, let your arms fall away from the body so that the shoulders help to ground you into the mat. Our little inversion. We often have such an inversion in our practice, but when we are in a warmer climate, this little inversion might be more useful even to practice each day. Not that it's harmful at any given day, unless, of course, there's pressure problems. But you could move your feet a little. And if you feel you've got a lot of fluid building up throughout the day, as often when it's warm, the fluids build up around the feet and the ankles. This could be lovely to do once more at the end of your day. After a little while of movement, let the movement go and try and be restful. You might even close your eyes or leave your gaze steadied at the ceiling. You could choose to deepen your breath a little. Then let your knees soften down towards the chest, lower your feet and pause. You might notice that there's energy coming back into the feet in some form, watching sensations. And you might then step down 1 foot at a time. If you've still got fists or block underneath, raise the hips enough to remove that prop and lower your spine back down onto the floor. Take a little pause with your feet wide and your knees falling in. Arms might be out, the palms facing upward. Continue a few rounds of deeper breathing while you might rest here. And if you find the body is settling into a quite peaceful state, you might not even need to move again anymore. But if you do, this would be your prompt to create that movement. If it's available to you, you may stay in your constructive rest or extend your legs out and let the toes roll away. Maybe snuggling your shoulder blades under, taking a few deeper breaths with a potential sigh out. Maybe a couple more. Feeling again the cooler air entering your nostrils, and even with the sigh, the warmer air leaving. As you have transitioned into Shavasana or resting, your eyes might be closed or your gaze restful. Perhaps returning to the idea of harmony within. And perhaps you even have a particular situation in mind that is currently in your life, where you would like to create this harmony. If something comes to mind, if not, you could keep it more general, perhaps even with your physical yoga practice. Reflect on what you might need to create this harmony. You might need a little bit of energy, action. You might need a bit of calm, heaviness, to let you allow to ground. From that, harmony might arise. I have chosen a card for us today. It comes from the deck that I usually carry with me. It's about letting go. Our card says, love is the ultimate law of the universe. It is the energy that radiates when the blocks to it have been surrendered. It is more than an emotion or a thought. It is a state of being. It is love, what we have become through the pathway of surrender. Lovingness is a way through which we light up the world. In the end, harmony is just that too. You might allow your mind to rest at heart center for a little while, as you feel into a sense of loving harmony within. Perhaps keeping your awareness with your energetic heart. As you start deepening your breath, you might feel your chest, your belly rising and falling. Preparing yourself then with some movement or mentally to join me in a seated position. Whether you roll to the side or you rise over the front is a choice. If it feels right, join the hands again at heart center and Anjali Mudra. As you let them rest, the shoulders are soft, the spine rises tall again. You might lift your heart a little bit up. You might bow the head, being humble. No matter what we create in that sense of harmony with ourselves, the love that we give ourselves and share with others is all centered here. With that awareness, we will bow and extend toward each other. Namaste.